Gambians demand the hike in prices of preferential food commodities. Gambian women politicians take stance on party policies in protecting women's rights. And the Gambia government reviews a 20-year electricity roadmap. This and more coming on Gambia 24. Hello and good evening. You're watching Gambia 24 News Bulletin with me, Mariama Cham. Thanks for joining us, and now the news in detail. While vendors are confronted with the challenges of making profit, consumers have to do with the math in order to dress their tables with a piece of bread at least 2 times a day. Both groups complained of what they call the sharp increase in the prices of essential food items in different markets in the country. This trend had been observed in the last couple of months in what could be blamed on the impact of the coronavirus global pandemic. We have more in this report by Khadija Heita Toure.
Ibrahim Jallo is one of the vendors at the Latrikunda market who took note of the upward slope of the prices of basic food items, especially that of oil and rice, both of which no household can do without. It is, he said, very costly for the average Gambian.
At this moment, price is very difficult because increase.
Prices at this moment are very expensive. Basic food items like onions, potatoes, especially oil and rice, are very costly. These are food items that people consume on day-to-day basis. Majority of Gambians consume oil daily. Its price has risen tremendously. The price of oil is too high and the customers are complaining.
For Morgay, the rise in food prices has stalled business activities because customers are finding it more difficult to do the needful in the market.
The
rise in food items have affected business a lot because it has slowed down business. Consumers come to buy but cannot due for the constant rise in prices. These are hard times for us, the vendors, and also the consumers. The overall food prices have become too expensive.
Father Cham appeared to affirm the views on the cost of food commodities, adding that big families need the help of authorities to meet the challenges of a 3-square meal a day.
I am a regular customer here, and the prices of food items have remained expensive. Even today, I am here to shop, but the prices are still too expensive. The government should make sure that food items are affordable. The country has become too hard.
Commentators from the market during my visit to Latrikunda spoke based on either direct experience or their observation to the business traffic, rather than on quality survey. It is in fact common to find a buyer bargaining on price of a food commodity. This goes far enough to explain the level of poverty of the people. Reporting for iAfrica TV, I am Khadija Heita Toure.
Food vendors and consumers there complaining of price hike of basic common food commodities. Now, women for many decades are seen behind the shadows of men, especially in politics. Gambian women from different political parties have for the first time took to the podium to debate on their party policies in protecting the rights of women, youth and children. Women representatives from UDP, GMC, GDC and APRC revealed their party stance on some of the issues affecting women, youth and children. Details of that in this report.
The debate gears towards amplifying the voices of women in politics, centered on key issues like women, youth and children, and the steps political parties will be taking in addressing issues affecting this category of the Gambian population if they are elected in the forthcoming December presidential election. Yakumba Jaite of the United Democratic Party highlighted her party's stance on women ownership of land and how to empower them if they come to power.
Women are into, for example, I would say farming and access to land. It's a problem in this country. A UDP government will make sure of equal and fair distribution of our resources, be it land or anything else, and would also encourage women to own property. I have been working for FLAC, and we have going around, particularly in upcountry, there in even certain communities that women feel they have no right to own land. So they only borrow this land from their family members and farm and be paying them back from their proceeds. But with the UDP government, we will ensure, particularly the women in the farming area, to teach them that they have the right to own land, to make land accessible to the women, and have a fair distribution of our resources.
Women also face a series of problems when it comes to developing their livelihood. The representative of the Gambia Moral Congress, Tida Kijera, dilated on some of the sectors GMC government will focus on in empowering women, especially the differently disabled.
And those two working as farmers, I will make sure they are introduced to a modern system farming whereby manpower will be used less and the production will high. And I will also invest in helping them to store their goods, which are not sell at the time they went to sell them. At the same time, open international market for them to be able to sell those goods outside of the country. At the same time, I will stand women with disabilities. I know if God didn't give you enough what he has given to others, there is problems in performing certain duties. I would make sure I stand with disabilities in women so that they can take care of their children. They can also work and earn instead of sitting at the bank sides to beg. I would discourage that totally.
Violence against women have been a popular topic of advocacy from both advocates and the media. Representative from the APRC party, Fatou Jallow, stated her party stands on the issue of marital rape.
It's a party that has very good regards for women, and we don't want any violence on women. Our policy on that marital rape, we are going to say zero tolerance to marital rape. If that is done to any woman, we will like to get the report and we will take an action towards it, because we don't need women to suffer in marriage, much more in rape. So we are going to say zero tolerance to that, and we are not going to allow that.
Wednesday's debate avails Gambians the opportunity to know which party has their best interests. It will also enable them to make an informed choice in the forthcoming December 4th presidential election. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Hawanjai.
Gambian women politicians there took to the podium for the first time in the history of Gambian politics to defend their various party policies. Now, the Gambia Press Union on Wednesday set journalists to task of promoting peace and positive reporting on the coronavirus pandemic. The two-day training held in partnership with the National Youth Council and the United Nations Development Programme put emphasis on publication of simplified and accurate information on public health matters. Nesise files in this report.
Journalists went through the course of advocating on limited understanding of post-COVID-19 situation and then reporting that will counter emerging misconceptions regarding the pandemic. Speaking during the opening of the two-day training, the Vice President of the Gambia Press Union, Mohammed Esba, pointed out the role of the media in sanitizing health information to the interest of the public.
And we've seen a lot of information going around COVID, which should be debunked by the media. A lot of disinformation, a lot of misinformation. We've seen even so-called experts will come and share videos that are even misleading to the communities, which creates more confusion and more fear to the people, to the public. This is where the media comes into play, to ensure people are given the chance to know the realities.
He referred to the vaccination programs as part of the key components in the recovery process of COVID-19, as the virus, he noted, cannot be eliminated without the vaccine. The Director of Health Promotion and Education at the Ministry of Health, Modun Jai, dilated on some of the challenges faced by health workers in the campaign against the coronavirus.
And one of the challenges we are encountering now is the issue of people not going forward to get tested for COVID. Because they are not getting the information, or because they don't want to be associated with COVID, or they just don't want to know their status. So the media, that's an opportunity for all of us now to get to the people wherever they are, no matter the distance, to engage them, for them to come forward and get tested. The other factor is about the issue of what? I would say vaccine hesitancy. When the vaccines came, we have heard a lot of negative comments about the vaccine.
The Officer for Peace, Security and Justice at the National Youth Council, Omar Ba, recognized the role of the media in convincing young people to take their vaccine shots.
We all know the pandemic is scary. A lot of young people are scared even to get vaccinated. So how can we convince young people to get vaccinated so that we can all be safe? Because if you are safe and your friend is not safe, that means you are not safe. So talk to your friend, convince your friend for your friend to get vaccinated, and also let him adhere to all the guidelines that Ministry of Health and WHO put in place. So if he is safe, you will be safe. If you are safe and he is not safe, you are not safe. So it's our responsibility to ensure that we discuss with our young people, we convince them to get vaccinated. And
since the outbreak of COVID-19, misinformation and misconceptions are said to have affected the works of health workers in getting the right message to the public. Stakeholders are now resorting once again to journalists as advocates for disease control and prevention in light of the third wave of the coronavirus global pandemic in most parts of the continent. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Daisy.
Gambian journalists there equipped on peace and positive reporting on the coronavirus pandemic to counter disinformation and misinformation of the global pandemic in the country will take us to a quick break, and we'll be right back with the rest of the news on Gambia 24. Stay tuned.
The locations, the design, the materials used, all the way down to the latest details are few of many things that we focused on when we envisioned the airport residency. As proud innovators of community estates, the airport residency in Old Yundum, a project by Swami India International, offers unique gated community with 3- and 4-bedroom villas and duplexes. Just 5 minutes away from the Banjul International Airport. Luxury, convenience, and accessibility are some of the reasons you should consider this great housing opportunity. With a clubhouse, a playground, access roads, and parking facilities available for your dream home or a valuable investment, you will find all you need at Airport Residency here in Old Yundum.
The Gambia has launched a national COVID-19 vaccination campaign by the Ministry of Health and supported by various partners using the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine. Health workers first receive the vaccine, followed by other groups based on their health risks and the supply of vaccines over time. This COVID-19 vaccine has been approved by the World Health Organization, WHO, for people aged 18 and above. Each person should receive 2 doses of the vaccine, with the second dose coming no time later than 12 weeks after the first. The most common side effects are pain at the injection site and flu-like symptoms for up to 48 hours after injection. Serious reactions are very rare. We must continue wearing our clean masks, washing our hands frequently, maintaining physical distance, and limiting time we spend in crowded and enclosed spaces. The vaccine is safe and can help us get closer to ending the pandemic. For more information, please call 1025 from any network in the Gambia, free of charge.
This message is brought to you by the Gambia Red Cross Society and funded by the European Union.
Welcome back from that break, and you are still watching Gambia 24 News. Now, the Ministry of Petroleum and Energy, in partnership with the National Water and Electricity Company, NAWEC, with support from the World Bank, began the validation of the strategy on Gambia's electricity subsector for the next 20 years. The document under review was initiated in 2015 and later updated in 2017 with a view to changing the realities of the energy sector. Details of that in this report. The review of the strategic roadmap is sure to harvest feedback from stakeholders to smoothen the pathway for the electricity subsector from the year 2021 to 2040. Many electricity foundation projects have been laid by the borough administration with a campaign to sterilize the country's electricity crisis with an uninterrupted power supply in years to come. The managing director of the National Water and Electricity Company, Nani Juara, noted of the progress made in the distribution of electricity to over 600 communities before 2023.
The key highlights of this roadmap is the ambitious goal of the Gambia government in providing universal access to electricity by 2025. And already significant progress has been made to achieve this, as funding for the electrification of over 685 communities countrywide from 2021 to 2023 is now available through the support of our development partners. Distinguished invited guests, another important highlight of the roadmap is the least cost investment plan to ensure electricity is accessible and affordable.
Minister for Petroleum and Energy Fafa Sanyang says to stabilize the flow of electricity in response to the energy needs of the population is one of the key components of the roadmap under review.
Developing an electricity master plan for the country is an immense fulfillment of my ministry under the able and visionary leadership of His Excellency President Adama Barrow. Going down memory lane, we might recall that the first electricity roadmap for the Gambia was developed in 2015 and updated in 2017 with World Bank support to guide the development of the electricity subsector in the short to medium term, with the main objectives to stabilize the electricity situation at the time and bridge the demand-supply gap by increasing generation capacity and supporting investments in the transmission and distribution infrastructure.
The Gambia is still facing challenges in terms of access to electricity and water despite numerous efforts to address the situation. If the electricity roadmap turns out to be what is on paper, however, the subsector will address electricity issues for both the people and the investment institutions across the country. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Mariama Cham. Well, that document under review by the Ministry of Petroleum and Energy in partnership with the National Water and Electricity NAWEC with support from the World Bank on the strategy of the Gambia's electricity subsector for the next 20 years brings us to the end of Gambia 24 News. I was representative Mariama Cham. Thanks for watching and do have a good night.
Star GSM has new arrivals of home appliances.